for watching the recording. Today's topic will be about the Czech language exam for Czech PR, because that's a question or a topic we get asked about a lot, because we've been in the business for 12 years and many of our clients stay with us basically the whole time. So from their first visa to a citizenship application. So we go with them through the whole process and all the steps, from visa to residence permit, then to permanent residence permit, then to citizenship. So we've done the whole circle of expat life. And PR comes if you are staying here, if you lean towards citizenship, or if you just want to stay here long term, then PR application comes to your life at some point. And if it does so, you most likely need to pass the Czech language exam. So that's why it's a pretty common topic nowadays, and I wanted to cover it in this live stream or the video. So if you are a non-EU citizen and you are not related to an EU citizen, because if you are, then you don't need to pass the language exam. But if you're a non-EU citizen, not related to an EU citizen, you always need to pass a Czech language exam in the level of A2 if you want to get the Czech permanent residency. There are a couple exceptions where you don't actually need to do it, but they are not that easy to reach. So most of our clients end up doing the exam anyway. The exceptions are if you're below 15, so that's usually about children. If you are applying all together maybe, or your children want to apply separately, then if they're below 15, you don't need to pass the exam. If you're above 60, you also don't need to pass the exam. And also if you're somehow mentally disabled, or you have some other real reason that you cannot learn Czech language, not because you're not good with languages, but you have some official condition that prevents you from taking the exam. And yeah, there might be some other exceptions where you don't really need to pass the exam, but those are minor. So I'll stick to those I just mentioned. The language exam generally needs to be a special PR language exam, which is only done by selected schools. It's not really the way that you could choose any language school and just go there and pass the exam there. It must be done through specific schools. The most common way of doing it is through the Čeština pro trvalý pobyt, Czech for permanent residence permit website, because there is the list of schools you can choose from, and you can get the test done there. How it generally works, because this is usually the biggest problem for most people to get the appointment for the PR. Used to be way bigger problem in the past, because in the past it worked the way that only this exam was accepted, maybe some small exceptions. Now there are more, I will get to it in a second as well. But it used to be that only this exam, and it basically was the way that there was a calendar which was generally always full. So you could not book any appointment. And if you wanted to book an appointment, you basically needed to sit by your laptop 2 weeks in a row and just keep refreshing. And then when one spot popped up there because someone canceled or they opened new spots, you had to book it within a minute, otherwise that would be gone. So that was very inefficient, and some people were waiting for months or even longer. So this system was changed, and now it's done basically the way that you still go to this website, Čeština pro cizince, and get registered in the system. So you basically put your name into the system, and you choose which schools you are willing to go to take the exam. So generally speaking, I'm not sure if I should be telling this live on this live stream, because we usually give this advice to our clients, but here you go, I already started. If you only want to go to the school which is in your city, you might be very much delaying the whole process, because let's say there are 3 schools in your city, say in Prague or Brno, the big cities. In other cities there is just 1 school usually. So if you just want to go to this one particular school, or even 3 in Prague or Brno or whatever, then you might be waiting for a very long time because like obviously all the people want to go there. But if you select more cities where you are willing to travel, like if you live in Prague, you can go to Plzeň, or you can go to Hradec Králové, or you can go to Kolín. Those are all places which you can easily reach by train. So I would recommend choosing these schools as well. Like wherever you are willing to travel, choose those because it will get you an appointment sooner. And how it works is that you get your name basically into infinite queue, and then the queue is like filled, or the appointments are queued from the filled from the queue. So you also see how many applicants are before you or in front of you. Generally, it's around 7,000. So you can imagine that it will take some time to get an appointment. But if you choose more cities, you definitely increase the chances that you get an appointment. And then if some school opens an appointment for you, or opens an appointment and you're the next one in the line, then they will send you an email saying, hey, please come to the exam. It's this date, this school, this time. So this is how it works now. It works a bit better than before because you at least know that you're in the system, and even if there is 7,000 people in front of you, you know that you will get the exam at some point. Before that, you didn't know that because you didn't know if you would ever catch an open appointment, and you would really need to like keep sitting and keep refreshing your browser. So it's actually an improvement. You don't really need to, or you can potentially, okay, so when you don't need this exam is if you studied in Czech language, if you studied in Czech language, basically, it can be like a primary school, it can be secondary school, it can be university, but you had to be enrolled in a program which was taught in Czech. If you did that and if you studied in Czech language, then you might not need to pass this exam. Also, if you, for example, have a Czech diploma, you have a Czech high school diploma, then you also don't need to pass it. Also, for example, if you passed the citizenship exam, which would be kind of weird that you first pass the citizenship exam before you pass the PR exam, but I guess it can happen. So if that happened to you, then you could also not do the exam. Potentially, there are some exams that might also be accepted instead of this one, this special one from the Čeština pro cizince website. But I cannot really tell you exactly which they are. If you have some exam or something, you can send it our way. We can check if that would work. But generally, there are some like special situations, special schools, special programs, which might be also accepted, but they usually need to be like verified by the ministry, or they need to be accredited. It's a bit difficult to get those. So yes, that's it. Sorry, thank you very much, Dale, for becoming a supporter. Dale Vlogs just joined as a member of the community, so guys, feel free to do so as well if you're not members yet. If you become a member and you send me your questions, I will shoot a video in the duration of what level of the subscription basically you chose. So Dell Vlogs became 1 minute supporter, so I will shoot a 1 minute video answering his or her question. Sorry, that's just a separate thing. So now you chose the schools, you put your name into the system, and now you're waiting. Often people ask us if they can submit the application for the PR now and just do the exam later. Technically, it is possible if you've already met all the other requirements, like you've been here for more than 5 years, you still have a valid residence permit, you have the financial means, you have the proof of accommodation, all that. You could potentially do it and submit your application before you pass the exam. But what happens next is that the ministry gives you a letter saying that you have this amount of days to deliver the certificate of the exam. And if you don't deliver it, they deny the application. So if you don't even have the appointment yet, then I would definitely not recommend it. If you already have it, you know it's like in 3 weeks, but you would like to submit the application sooner, you can potentially do it. But then the thing is that if you get denied, or if you don't pass the exam, then your application will be denied as well, because then another appointment will be like no one knows when, and then you will be stressed because you already didn't pass the exam once, you might not pass it again, all that. So I definitely don't recommend submitting your PR application before you actually get the certificate of passing the exam. And just briefly, so you know, I'm thinking if there is something else which I would need to mention, and I will tell you just a bit more. Oh, Dell Vlogs, thank you very much for, I don't know what it is, but it's obviously a support in form of money. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so money. So how much the exam costs? It's 3,200, the official PR exam. Might be maybe a bit different if you go through a different examination from one of the accredited schools, let's say, but generally the PR exam is 3,200 crowns. And what does the exam look like? Just to give you a brief idea what to expect. Basically, there are two parts. One is the written part and one is spoken part. So in the written part, it's about three things. It's about reading, writing, and listening. And then in the spoken part, you basically go in front of a committee and they give you a topic. Which, if you like join the video or whatever, I don't know what's with my English. I say it all the time, but I usually do the live stream after work, so probably it's already, my brain is tired. Sorry for that. The thing is that if you saw the thumbnail of the video, there is the topics they can talk with you about. So there are different topics like I don't know, family or buy-in or doctor or what, all that, and they will ask you to talk about the topic, and they will kind of speak with you, which is the spoken part. Yeah, then once you pass the examination, you usually get the certificate pretty swiftly. It's usually a matter of days maximum. And then you can go and apply for the PR. So I guess that's it. Let me see if there are any questions about the PR, because this is not an open live stream where I would be answering all your questions from whatever topics, but I will see if there is something related to the exam or PR. What level of Czech is required for PR? It's equivalent to A2 level. Good evening. Volunteer visa. My long-term residence has been approved. Long-term residence permit, medical insurance, get in touch. We work with 6 different companies. We get the best prices from them. So I'll be happy to send you quotes and get the insurance for you. We can get you the best or the cheapest, whatever you want. Volunteer visa, get an appointment 3 months. University, applied volunteer visa. Why I get rejected? Volunteer visa, I've got approved. Volunteer visa, get an appointment. Where are you from, bro? Okay, so another question regarding the PR. Hello, thank you for all the valuable information. Does the Czech language exam have an expiry date? Can I, for example, pass the exam a year before PR application? Hiba Dahmane. Well, yes, that's possible. It doesn't really have an expiration, but what can happen is that the ministry changes the requirements, and maybe that level will not be, or the exam will no longer be accepted, or they increase the level, for example, because it's been for we've been doing this for 12 years. And basically the whole time the level of language was A1, and it was kind of just recently, 2 years ago, I believe, something like that, increased to A2. So if you had already A1 exam, that was useless if you applied after the change in the law, which said that you needed to have A2. So something similar can happen. I don't really expect that. I don't really expect the ministry to increase the required level again, but potentially that could be the only reason why the exam would not be longer valid. Other than that, it doesn't have any validity. Of course, like the longer you wait, if it was like 5 years old, they could potentially question if it's still like valid, if you still speak Czech, if you passed it 5 years ago. But if it's just a couple months or probably a year, I would say that there will be no problem with that. So let's see if there is any other question regarding the PR or the exam, because this is not like an open live stream. Hey, what is the service online only for passing the exam? Might have non-Slavic. Okay, Ozymandias, hey, what is the best sources and strategy only for passing the exam? My native language is non-Slavic and I have no many Czech friends, so I can't learn the language. First, that's an excuse. Okay, if you've been living here for 5 years and you really tried, you could do it. Czech language is difficult, but A2 level is like, hello, how are you? Can I buy these 3 breads for 15 crowns? So it's not really that high of a level. But to answer your question, there are schools or teachers who specifically prepare you for the exam, who know like what the language exam is about, how it's structured, and they prepare you specifically for that. So there are courses that can prepare you specifically for the exam. So you don't have to go like through the whole language training or whatever, but you can get prepared just for the exam. So that would be one way. Also, what helps if you go to Čeština pro cizince, like Czech or Čeština pro trvalý pobyt, so the Czech for permanent residency, they also have like a dummy tests where you can try the level and you see how it's structured. So all that. Generally speaking, I would say that the most important part for this exam is the vocabulary. So more words of like the common use then the higher the chances you have of understanding what they are asking you about and everything. So I would, if you had like first, definitely find a school or find a teacher who is focused on preparing you for the exam. That would be number one. If you didn't want to do it for whatever reason, then definitely focusing on your daily life vocabulary would be the way to go, in my opinion. Exam tip. Someone sharing experience, that's good. One thing that makes the exam difficult is that it takes the whole day. You have to be very early and it takes the whole day. There is a lot of waiting time, so be patient as well. Yeah, thank you very much for that. That's a good thing to mention. That usually there is a full class of people, so I don't know, 20 people. And then you all go, like the actual test might not be that like long. It's like 40 minutes, whatever. So it's a couple hours of the actual like written part. But then the oral exam, you go there like separately, one person at a time. So if it's 20 people and even if it was like 10 minutes each, then it's 200 minutes, which 3.5 hours, let's say. So yeah, that can take very long and you have to wait and that adds to the stress. So yeah, that's a good thing to mention. Thank you. Let's see if there is anything else about the PR. I studied Czech for foreigners program at Palacký University, B1. Well, I think I would need to see the exact like certificate you got, so I could check against what the ministry allows as a substitute, because they only allowed like certain exams. If it was at the university, potentially it might, but I would need to see it. Blah, blah, blah. Does PR get expired? Stanley, thank you for joining. Write me an email as well. But the PR, generally the status is unlimited, permanent. That's why it's permanent residency. So the status doesn't expire. Of course, it can be cancelled. Like if you move away for a certain amount of time or like some other things that can be cancelled. But generally there is no expiration that's permanent. On the other hand, The actual residence card is generally given to you for 10 years, and to kids it's for 5 years. So you need to renew the card. That's relatively simple. One thing there is that you still, even if you have the PR, you still need to report all the changes, which means that if you change your address, if you get a new passport, if you get married, if you get divorced, if you get a child, whatever, you always need to let the ministry know. And the problem with the PR card is that your address is printed on the card. So anytime you move, you need to get a new card. So if you move every year, then every year you will need to keep getting a new card because the address is printed on that. Yeah, okay, so that's it. One last question. No, okay. All right, yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining, and I'll be back Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Good night.